Good morning. Hi. Hello. Happy Tuesday. My name's Kayla. I'm a writer and I need to put together a beta reader sign up form for the draft that I'm currently working on. If you're new here, the project that I'm making this form for is called Between the Waves. It is a high fantasy pirate portal fantasy novel. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm gonna get better at that. But this week my goal is to finish draft 3 and then I want to be sending it to beta readers. I've been working on this book for 2.5 years and I would like to self-publish it this year. So because of that, I've really cracked down on my timeline, and beta readers is the next step for me. I really need some outside feedback. I know that there are plot issues. I know that there are problems with the character arcs and stuff, and I'm so deep into the story that I really need some external feedback. And last time I did beta reading, I got beta readers for my project called Blood of Amber, which was also a high fantasy writing project that I talked about it a little bit on my channel, but not as much as I've talked about Between the Waves, and that project has also been shelved. But I did end up getting beta readers for that book, and honestly, I remember it being very, very helpful, even though I did end up shelving it. The feedback that I got from people was wonderful. I've been a little bit resistant to getting feedback with Between the Waves. I'm not sure why. It's getting to the point where I really need the feedback, and if I want to bring this to life and get it to all of you, then I'm gonna need to take that next step. So today we're gonna make the beta reader application form, and then I'll probably post it today as well. When it comes to making a beta reading form, I'm pretty sure you can add whatever you want to it. I'm going to go through the form that I created for Blood of Amber and take some inspiration from it, and then I also might go and look at some other authors' beta reading forms that I've seen before and kind of just get some insight as far as that goes. And I'm going to try to put together a form that is not so extensive that no one wants to read it, but still covers all the bases that I think are important for me when it comes to picking the beta readers. I also didn't realize, but I was kind of looking over this old form this morning, and I actually included in this form if people would be interested in beta reading for Between the Waves, which is kind of funny. I never ended up using those beta readers because I just kind of started to panic and didn't really feel like it was ready for beta readers, and 2 years later I still felt that way, obviously. But I might reach out to those people directly and see if they're still interested in beta reading Between the Waves, even though it's literally 2 years later. So if you're interested in beta reading for me, please feel free to apply. These are the questions that I had with my previous beta reading application form. So I had general, who are you, kind of how should I contact you, that sort of thing. I also asked which one they would like to beta read for, even though I ended up not sending out Between the Waves for beta reading. Now I feel like I can reach out to those people again and maybe see if they're still interested. I also ask if they have experience with beta reading, although that's not a requirement. I'm pretty sure I reached out to people last time who didn't have experience beta reading, but they read a lot of the same things that I read and write. I think it's nice to know if they've done it before, because it means that they have some sort of experience and maybe some deeper insight as far as beta reading goes. So I think that can be really helpful, but at the same time, I am very keen. I've sent my manuscripts to friends before who have never beta read before, but they read a lot of the same thing. And I find that can be just as valuable, but this is still a question that I was kind of curious to see if these are things that people have done for others before. I also checked to see if people would be able to provide feedback within 2 weeks of receiving the manuscript. This is going to change. I'm going to give 3 weeks, possibly 4. I also asked if they write their own books, because I was kind of just curious if someone has published before, if it's something I've heard of, if it's something I can read, if I can see what genre it's in, what age category, and maybe get a better idea of if they would be a good beta reader for my project. Ask what genre they write in, what genre they read the most of, which is also very important to me. If someone doesn't read the genre that I'm writing in and the genre that I want to get the beta reading for, then I feel the feedback won't be as aligned to the classic tropes and structure and themes that show up in that genre, so it's maybe not as good of a match. For example, if someone only reads contemporary romance, while I want to have more romance in my books and heavy romance themes and plot lines. I also am probably not ever going to write something that doesn't have at least a couple aspects of science fiction or fantasy and like magic and stuff. So I also asked for what their favorite books are in the fantasy genre specifically. And I also asked what their favorite fantasy book is that they read within the past year, because I'm kind of just curious, like if they're reading newer books that have been released that would be like, I guess, closer to the market that my book would be in, if that makes sense. I also asked what the preferred format for reading the manuscript was, but I don't know. I guess it's not a big deal if it's not in Word. I don't know, to be decided. And then I also asked just why do you want to beta read one of my novels? And as you can see from this form, I ended up getting 20 responses to that, and I ended up picking 5 people, I think, to beta read. So it's going to be a pretty short turnaround time as far as the beta reading application goes for this time around. I'm probably going to post it today, which is Tuesday, and then I will be going through and probably picking the people on Saturday, the 15th, and then sending out on Monday is my tentative plan, depending on like who's able to start. So like it's a pretty fast turnaround time, but I think that's going to be for the best, because if I got 20 responses last time and this was when I had less of a community, I think I'm worried about how many responses I'll get, and I'm worried about being like overwhelmed with picking people. So I think a shorter turnaround time is probably better for me and my stress levels and just like navigating through that. Which also reminds me, I think for this one I need to ask when people are able to start the beta reading, because I'm thinking that I'll get 3 people this time instead of 5. Maybe I'll get 5. I don't know. I'll pick somewhere between 3 to 5, and I think it'll depend what the responses look like, because if there are 5 really strong people, then I'll probably pick 5. But yeah, I'll also need to include a question on my new form asking people when they'll be ready to start the beta reading, because I am hoping to send out this manuscript on Monday, which is less than a week. Okay, let's make this new form. So I'm going to use Google Forms again. That seems most accessible from what I can tell. Let me start with just getting all the questions in here that I want, and then I'll kind of like spruce it up and add more like detailed questions, that sort of thing. A lot of these are going to be the same as the previous one, so I can just copy and paste and transfer them over. I am curious to see if some of the people who apply are going to be people that have applied before, because like I said, I got 20 applications before 2 years ago, and I was actually going through those applications, and it was really fun to kind of like reminisce a little bit, because quite a few of those people I recognize their names, and they're people that I chat with, and they're people who are still in the community. So I think that'll be really interesting to see. So I've copied over the ones that I would like to keep, but I'm also going to have to change some of them. So we're going to keep what is your name or pen name. Okay, this one's going to need to change within 4 weeks of receiving the manuscript. And I'm going to give an estimate for the word count. If it's sitting around 60,000 right now, I'm going to say it's going to be between 70 to 80,000 words. I'm also going to ask if they can start on Monday. So when it comes to when they're able to start, I'm giving a week flexibility, like a week buffer period, because if there's like 3 people can start on the 17th, but then one person is like, I can't start on the 17th, but I can start a week later, I'm okay with having like a staggered reading period of about a week. So I'm going to make that an option. I also make all of them required because I want to know. Okay, so when it comes to the form description, something that I didn't really include last time, like I basically said, thank you so much for applying. And then I also explained that I just wanted to like get to know people, and I was going to pick about 5 beta readers. So I think with this one, I'm going to do a very similar thing, just again, like expressing gratitude, because the fact that anyone wants to beta read for me when I know that it's like such a rough version of the final story, especially 20 people at that point in time. I'm genuinely so grateful for that, and I will not pass up an opportunity to express that. I also want to mention in this one particularly that it's going to be heavily developmental, because after I sent out this beta reading form and selected my beta readers for Blood of Amberum, I did send out kind of like a package via email that explained what I was looking for, questions to ask, and things for people to keep track of, that sort of thing, to kind of direct beta readers for what I was looking for at this point in time. But I think I want to mention that a little earlier, so I'm going to mention that in the beta reading form, just that this is like massively a developmental beta reading process. I need like main character arc as well as developmental plot feedback right now. So I wrote out kind of like a description for this beta reading form, kind of just like, again, expressing gratitude, because genuinely anytime anyone is willing to read 80,000 words that I wrote, I'm just like overflowing with gratitude. I have no words. So then I mentioned Between the Waves, it's a high fantasy novel with pirates, portal magic, and lots of romance, although this particular draft needs help in that realm, because that's true. I want to like flesh out the romance a bit more and the romantic arc, but I'm still kind of exploring that, and I think I need some feedback around that as well. At this stage, I'm looking for developmental feedback around the overall plot, the main character arc, and the main romantic plot line. I'm looking to pick 3 to 5 beta readers for this project, and once selected, I will send you a package with further details and prompts around what kinds of feedback I'm looking for. So yeah, I feel like that's good. Should I add a photo? I should add an image. So now I'm going to go over and look at Katie Wismer's Patreon, which I'm subscribed to. You should as well, especially if you're planning on self-publishing. She has just like incredible resources and she explains everything so well. So I'm kind of going to like look through hers and kind of like see what she has asked for before. I think that I might actually adopt some of what she asked for in one of her more recent beta reader signups, because she gave a bit more details for what she was looking for. So I might use that to inspire my own and use some of those like questions. So she actually had an 85,000 word manuscript and asked for a 2-week turnaround time. So I'm actually going to put mine down to 3 weeks instead of 4. I actually don't think I'm going to keep the age question. I don't know. I feel like maybe it didn't really affect things last time, so I'm going to get rid of that. Do you have any experience? Will you be able to provide feedback within 3 weeks? I'm going to change this one because I feel like I ask a lot of questions about the genre and like what they're reading. So instead I'm just going to ask if they have like a story graph or Goodreads to share. And then I think I can get rid of this question because if they give me their links, I'll see what books they read and stuff anyways, so I feel like that's unnecessary. I also feel like it's more important for me to know what they read. I don't know. Looking at her form has made me realize that I feel like I don't need all the questions that I have. And then I feel like preferred format is also maybe not necessary because I'll just ask them that when I pick the beta readers, because I don't particularly care what format I use, you know? Like I can send it in Google, I can send it in Word. I also added to the last question, just like, why do you want to beta read? How did you find me? And is there anything else you'd like me to know? So kind of just like anything I may have missed that they want to share. So I think I've got it whittled down and adjusted so that I feel a bit better about it. So I've got the kind of intro section. I explain what the story is about and also what kind of feedback I'm looking for. Maybe I'll bold that. I also mention how many beta readers I'm looking for and just let them know that like if they are selected, I'll send you kind of like a package that explains in further detail what I'm looking for and also comes with like a little questionnaire, which I will need to dig up. I had one for Blood of Amberum, but I will need to dig that up and find it and kind of see if I can like reuse some of it. Although I kind of want to push beta readers in a bit of a different direction for this book because I'm having different problems in this book, so I think the questionnaire will vary based on that. And then I also added like a little mention that it's a very early version of the draft and it will be published, so please don't share anything about what you read and the book in general, which I feel like most people wouldn't, but I don't know, I kind of feel like I should put it just in case. So I ask for the name, I ask for the best email to contact them with, see if they have any experience with beta reading, and if they have, then elaborate on it. I also ask if they'll be able to provide feedback within 3 weeks of receiving the manuscript, which will be between 70 to 80,000 words, and that's around a 350-page book. It's actually If I end up being around 70K, it'll probably be closer to a 300-page book, so not that long. So I feel like 3 weeks is pretty fair, actually. And then will you be able to start the beta read on Monday, June 17th? So this upcoming Monday. This is when I'm aiming to send out the manuscript. And then I also checked, because if you're able to start on the 24th instead, I think I'd be okay with that, so that I have a little bit of a stagger when it comes to feedback, because chances are I'm not going to be able to go through like 5 people's feedback in 1 week. So I think it's okay if there's a bit of a stagger, and if they're a strong beta reader, then it's worth it. Do you write your own books? And if so, have you published them? What genre do you read the most of? And any links to share. So like if you have Goodreads, Storygraph, or a Bookstagram or a book talk somewhere where you like talk about books, just to like get to know the person a bit better. And then last question, why do you want to beta read one of my novels? I'm curious about what caught your attention and how you found me, and is there anything else you'd like me to know about you? This is the space to share. I think I'm happy with that. I think the beta reader application forms need to be like a good balance between getting to know the potential beta readers enough to make a decision on them, but then not asking too many questions, especially because there's definitely going to be a package with a lot more details when I actually select those beta readers. So like the people applying don't all need to know those details. I think this is good, honestly. Cool. So I think I can share it. Should I post it? Okay. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that video. I kind of just wanted to sit down and have a nice informal kind of chat about how I'm setting up my beta reader form. You can kind of set it up however you want. If there are things that are more important for you to know specifically about your beta readers, then that can be important too. So you can kind of just add whatever you want, remove whatever you want, but hopefully this is like a nice intro to putting together a beta reading form. And if you're trying to put one together, hopefully this helped and maybe inspired some of your own questions. Anyways, I'm gonna go and have an energy drink, I think, because I am feeling tired today. And I'm gonna start getting this video up as soon as possible, because I feel like this video might drive people to the beta reader form. So I want to get it up like shortly after the beta reader form goes up, so that if you see this video, you don't miss out on applying if you want to, which I would be so grateful if you did. I'm also going to mention, which I guess you'll only know if you watch this video, but I'm getting to this point where I would love to have consistent beta readers, like at least 1 or 2 people maybe that I can consistently go to for beta reading, that I could also potentially like exchange beta reading and critiquing with, especially if they write in my genre. So yeah, that is something that I'm keeping an eye out for when it comes to the responses that I get on this form. And then maybe, I don't know, if someone sticks out or I get like some really good feedback and they're also a writer, I feel like there is definitely potential to have a kind of beta reading relationship back and forth, or critiquing, if whatever you want to call it, whatever stage it is. Yeah, if that's also something that you're interested in potentially, because, you know, you have yet to read my work, I guess, and you're not sure actually if I'm someone you would want to like consistently beta read or critique with. But if you're potentially interested and you happen to watch this video and think you might be keen, you can add that to the last question and say, hey, I would love to make this like an ongoing, like long-term thing. We can like be critique partners or just consistently like beta read for each other. If that's an interest, figured I'd throw that out there. Put it in the last box where you can just like share whatever. Anyways, this is going to be a long video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. Please like the video if it was helpful, and subscribe if you would like more content like this, or just to follow along with my writing. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.